Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Incision podcast. It's great to be back. It's a great time, busy football schedule, and the Reds are in hot form in Europe as well. Looking really promising for them, and we'll obviously talk about all the other games in the Champions League as well. And joining me on this podcast, I am delighted to be joined by my partner in crime in all this. He doesn't need an introduction. We're going to give him one anyway. The insightful, the funny, the charismatic, the taller person on this podcast is Themis. Welcome to the show.
Well, you outdid yourself this time. I have to give you that.
I was thinking that, yeah, I'm good, thank you. I just thought I have to change it up a little. bit. So, let's bring height into it now. Let's go there. Right, Themis. It's great to have you back on the pod. Let's talk about this then. Liverpool, Benfica, and first and foremost, I guess I want to get your thoughts on how you thought that went and stuff. I mean, breathe a sigh of relief. It's good that Liverpool look very, very comfortable. So I'm going to come to you first. I mean, the team lineup. There's a lot of buzz about this, Themis. We have to start from the top. Lots of buzz.
Yes.
The attack looked great. The defense looked great. Seeing Trent back, Konate would have been good in an aerial sense as well to be with Virgil van Dijk. That midfield was probably the midfield that loads of people have been, sort of daydreaming about, fantasizing about, and lo and behold, and we kind of got it. So talk to me about the team lineup. I mean, I think a lot of people were very excited and very happy with that.
Yeah, obviously you got Trent coming back.
Mm.
It is the biggest concern because if he wasn't starting, then you have to think again about his availability on Sunday versus City and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he made the bench in the return of club football versus Watford. So we all thought, is he starting Tuesday night versus Benfica? Is he starting? And he started. That was the big news. We got Konate, and everybody was thinking, Matip is not going to play all three games this week. So Konate is already have played great games in the Champions League. He started in Milan as well. Got Diaz. We were all thinking that he was rested versus Watford, and now he got a chance to start in Portugal. He knows the team, he knows Benfica and all that things. But as you said, we got how do you say it? A unicorn signing. You got Bigfoot. Mythical creatures that everybody fantasizes about, but no one really saw them.
Yeah.
And that is the fab Thiago Naby. I've been talking about that since we actually signed Thiago.
Thiago, yeah.
And that we never saw that. We saw them all three playing together because Thiago got injured and Naby is on and off and all that stuff. And when they were available this season, myself, actually, were given the impression that, you know what, even if they are all available, Jurgen is never going to play them, all three. Never going to start them, all three in midfield, because he doesn't want that. He wants either Naby or Thiago playing that left-hand side central midfielder role, and somebody else, like Elliott or Jordan or Jones maybe, filling the hole on the right. So that's the way it is. And myself, I was convinced that we were never going to see that. And once the lineups came, I was so surprised and so excited to see that, rare sighting of a unicorn, of a Bigfoot, of a Leviathan, I don't know, any other difficult creatures and stuff like that. Yeah, it was in football fantasy, in Liverpool's fans' head, and talks and podcasts and things they talk about when they have a beer or something like that. And that at some point we were convinced that we were never going to see that. And we saw that in a big game away from home in Europe. Joy to behold. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think loads of people are really excited about that. And I love the fact that, Jurgen Klopp can kind of change it up and be that attack-minded, knowing that Man City are only a weekend away. We're playing them on Sunday. And you look at, the riches of talent on that bench and what Jurgen is able to do. And, Diaz starting as well with Mo Salah, Sadio Mane. It's just it's a great position to be in. But Themis, let's kind of talk about this game now. And I guess this is me and this is our podcast, and naturally I'm a little bit everywhere. So there is no chronological order to what I'm gonna say or how. I just basically have brain farts and I just release them, and then me and you just talk about them. But for me, I thought the game started in really, really good tempo. I thought I actually. Again, I'm a bit everywhere because it has been 2 days since we watched the game. I loved the first half. I thought it was just a brilliant game of football. And I'll paint an image to you, Themis. So it's the month of Ramadan, so I'm fasting. And you know what? That is the perfect half to watch the football, where you're enjoying your food and the Reds are just playing wonderful football. I thought it was played at a good tempo. I thought the Reds were controlling. I actually loved what that midfield was doing. I thought Keita was like sort of really linking up well with the attackers. I thought the front three looked really bright as well. There was just so much positive stuff going on in that first half of football. And I'd like to get your thoughts on this, because we spoke about Benfica, and then I did a podcast with Marco about Benfica, and he kind of said that their midfield is probably their weakest spot.
Yeah.
And I felt like we really did control that in my opinion.
Well, let's call it like it was. It was total domination by Liverpool. Maybe unprecedented domination by Liverpool. I mean, we've gone away from home in Europe with Jurgen. At first, we had some bad results. The Champions League away from home, maybe in the group stages, we lost on Napoli and stuff like that, in PSG and all that stuff. Well, you have to remember we won at Bayern Munich away from home, and we knocked them out after a 0-0 draw on Anfield. And it was the same result, right? But we weren't that dominating. We won at Milan versus Milan and Inter this season. Again, not with that much domination. I mean, especially the first half, as you mentioned. I mean, we have 6 big chances, 6 clear-cut chances in 45 minutes of football away from home in a stadium that's, okay, maybe it's not the most difficult stadium to play away in Europe, but it's one of the most difficult stadiums to play away from home. They take a lot of pride in the fact that they never lose home ground. They're always attacking and stuff like that, and they can come back as they did versus Ajax to snatch up a draw and go away in Amsterdam and then eventually knock out Ajax in the previous knockout round. And that was utter domination. I mean, there's literally nothing that we didn't do as planned that game. I mean, we actually did whatever we wanted to do. And it was so enjoying to watch. I mean, for you, it was like popcorn while watching The Godfather, like watching a great movie. It was something like that because, well, if Mo had his finishing boots on, I don't know what the scoreline might be. You got a first half that the best player of the opponent is actually their goalkeeper, which is Greek, by the way, and I told you he's great at it. And along with Tsimikas, they are by far the 2 best players we have right now
Mm.
playing for Greece. And we did everything we wanted to do. It was like playing. It was like toying with it around. With intensity, of course, with commitment and focus and all that stuff. But you look at that game and you say, my God, that maybe it's one of the best Liverpool performances I've ever seen in my life. I have to tell you that, because it was total domination in every aspect of the game. We controlled the tempo, we controlled the way in the areas that we wanted to play. We played whenever we want to. We gave them absolutely no chance of counter-attacking or slowing the tempo down or keeping possession for a while and settling in the game. No, we by the neck, and we kind of did whatever we wanted to do.
We did. I mean, one thing I did kind of notice about Benfica as well, like we said, obviously the midfield, was highlighted was that it wasn't overly great, and they had players that wrapped in there and so and so. But one thing I did kind of notice was every time they did try to attack, I think they tried doing it down their left-hand channel. And, a player like Everton was like hugely involved, but most of the times it was quite fruitless. But I mean, they did try. And, you're speaking about the best goal scorer on the pitch and not having his finishing boots. But how about this for a goal then? Robbo corner, Konate, bullet of a header, probably the most unlikeliest of goal scorers. But you know what? Our centre-backs do pretty well on them corners. And I loved him scoring that goal, because you would think, the power that he got on it, you would think he's leaped for that. And then when you actually look back at the replay, he might have jumped an inch. Such a giant. I was laughing at that. I was like, gosh.
I mean, that guy makes Virgil look normal.
Yes.
I mean, Virgil van Dijk is intimidating. I mean, I would love to get to stand next to him, not only to meet him and talk to him in person, but to see that figure in real life, to see actually his body type and stuff like that. And Konate is making Van Dijk look like a normal footballer, and Virgil is a colossus. And I mean, we got another one in the face of Konate, and it's very hard for them to defend Liverpool corners, because obviously the focus is going to be on Virgil, but you got Konate as well, you got Fabinho as well. He's coming on as a threat recently in set pieces and stuff like that. So it's very hard for them, because we have the delivery, we have the scouting department, each opponent's weak areas, stuff like that, and do routines and try to avoid and do screens and all that stuff. And it's very hard for them. We have to give it away. I was delighted with Konate, to be fair. And I have a friend who is he bets a lot on football. And he's a gambler. I don't. I used to, but I haven't been doing that for more than a decade. And if I do, I never bet on Liverpool games. That's a rule. And it was a month ago when we started talking, and I mentioned him about the fact that Liverpool are scoring so much from set pieces and corners and all that stuff. And we were talking about it from a football point of view, not a betting point of view. But if you're a gambler, you're always looking for an angle. And I remember he said to me, so you're saying that, you have to bet on, guys scoring from corners, because we are maybe the best team in Europe right now at that. And I said to him, you know what? Konate hasn't scored. There's a big value on him. So if I were you, I would bet some money on Konate for the next 2 or 3 months, because eventually he's going to score one and he's going to pay you big bucks. And he did. And I got a thank you message after the game.
I can imagine you got a big thank you message. Someone got a big paycheck. Konate, absolutely brilliant header, a bullet of a header. I mean, one thing that I'm actually enjoying him a lot. Every time I see him, he impresses me more and more and more. And he looks so assured. And I thought he might have been an ideal kind of centre-back pairing for Virgil van Dijk, because one thing, I mean, I'm not going to claim to watch a lot of Benfica, because I think we'd all know that I'm fibbing here. So from the very little I have seen of Benfica in the Champions League football, and speaking to Marco as well, is, they don't have anything that they specialize in. They just have individual kind of brilliance that they can just bring on whenever they want. So it's just more, like a passage of play. But I watched a little bit of the Ajax game and they look quite threatening on set pieces. So for me, a Konate is ideal in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, the kid is phenomenal because he has all these physical abilities, and young center backs with that amount of physical presence tend to over rely on the physical attributes of the game. They tend to think, I'm stronger than anybody else, so I'm gonna outmuscle them. So I'm very fast, so I'm gonna outrun them, and that leads to trouble because you cannot always rely on your physical attributes, because someday you're gonna get an opponent that is stronger than you, or maybe as strong as you are, and maybe faster than you, and you have to rely on the tactical aspect of defending and being in the right place at the right moment every time. And he manages to do that. And I know we're talking about a guy that costs goals. We're uploading a guy that eventually made a huge error that led to Benfica scoring. I don't care because it's just a missed kick. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to Franco Baresi. It can happen to Virgil van Dijk. It can happen to Sergio Ramos. I don't know. It can happen to any defender. I don't care about that. I really don't care about that. It's a very bad moment, but it's not about his positioning. It's not about his reading of the game. It's not about his overall presence. It's something that can happen to anybody. It's football, and you get punished for it. That's the fate of defenders. That's the fate of goalkeepers, like Alisson, if they make a mistake. I don't care.
Alisson did one against Leicester in his first season. Let's not forget,
Yeah.
You just, the human, these things will happen. I mean, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I mean, again, right, so that goal happened around about 16 minutes, and my word, what a goal it was. And then, you know what, we pretty much dominated. And then, can we talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold's crossing?
No, we cannot.
No, we
cannot. Have the words. No, we don't have the words for it. I mean, come on, the boy is ridiculous. The boy is ridiculous. I don't know what else to say about him. Not in this podcast with you. I don't know what else to say in Twitter. I don't know what else to say about him.
It's his first game back as well. It's his first game back, and people I forgot that for a second. That obviously he didn't feature against Watford. He was out injured. He's not had football, and he comes back and he plays like that.
I mean, he's phenomenal. He maybe has the best right foot in the world right now. I don't know what to say. He's Beckham, he's Giggs, he's everything. He has the whole package. I mean, that pass to set Diaz away, that awareness from Diaz to square it with his head in Sadio's path in an empty net, and the other pass that he made a step over and turned around and sent Mo away.
Yes.
And eventually it was saved by the goalkeeper. I mean, there's no defending in that. I mean, we're talking about he's like a quarterback. He can throw the ball away with his hand, with his right foot actually, and it's an inch perfect pass. Every pass. I mean, there's no limit to what the boy can do. He can pass the ball in tight areas. He can find Jota running. He has done that a lot this season. There is no kind of pass that he cannot play, he cannot create. I mean, he's phenomenal. I don't know. You're saying, can we talk about him? I don't know if we can talk about him. We cannot find. Maybe it's the English language. Maybe it's the language barrier. But I have no words about the kid. He's absolutely phenomenal.
You know what I find really strange? I think it was a commentary on the game that I was watching, obviously for Benfica, and there was talks that Gareth Southgate might not pick him. And when you sat there and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You do you. I mean, I don't support England anyway, but I was like, it's fine, keep him fresh for Liverpool. I don't really care. But, just oh, they might want somebody a bit more defensive. You just shake your head. You're just like, okay, whatever. I've had enough of these myths. I'm quite bored of them, to be honest with you. Let's talk about the front three. So, Diaz obviously getting so booed, and they were really on his back, but I think he loved it. I think he reveled in it. I think he actually wanted to get that goal, and of course he does in the second half. But what did you make of the front three? I thought they linked up really well. I thought there was a lot of like working for each other, trying to find each other. I think obviously the only thing that people will talk about and focus on is the fact that Mo Salah isn't scoring goals at the moment. Naturally we've got a nitpick, but I thought again he looked quite domineering on the right hand side. He was trying to like take on the defenders, and he was trying to do he was involved. He didn't have a quiet game. Obviously he's not scored a goal, and these things are concerning. But are they concerning when you think about how much football he's played? How physically and mentally he must be tired. Also, we're not overly reliant. Don't get me wrong, we need more Salah goals because he's world class and he's the best on the planet. But we have other players that are taking the load from him. So I want to get your thoughts on this, because I feel like he does get under the microscope for all things good and all things when he's not scoring goals. I won't say bad because it's not bad.
Well, we have to start with Diaz, because I totally agree with you. He loved the spotlight and the negative reaction every time he touched the ball. Most players do love it. They don't. Sometimes they get distracted if they're visiting an old club. Stuff like that. If they have to play against their old team and there is a mixed reaction, all that stuff. But when you're playing versus a hostile crowd, that they are specifically hostile against you because you used to play for the rivals. No, they absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And I was, from the moment I had a close eye on him, wanted to check how he's going to start the game, the first opening minutes. And he looked really comfortable. And I said to myself, he's going to have a great game. And what more can you ask from Diaz? I mean, he's been here 2 months, right? And he did everything because he has the whole package. I mean, running with the ball, taking his opponents on one-on-one situations, and then moving as a center forward without the ball, those vertical runs, the diagonal runs, in the back of the defense to have the chances to finish off. He had 4 shots, 3 successful dribbles. And maybe he could have scored more if he was. Maybe Naby could have 2 assists in his name. If Diaz scored both his big chances, he scored only 1, and that's fair. And with Mane, you got him scoring. He played in the Firmino role. I think Sadio was of great assistance to Sadio, because at some point in the first half, I thought that Naby was playing as a second striker. We didn't actually play with a 4-3-3. We played with 4-2 and maybe 4-4-2, because it was Thiago controlling the midfield, and Naby was in a very free role, roaming wherever he wanted, but especially getting inside the box. I mean, the game, and after the game was finished, the first thing I checked was how many touches in the opposition box Naby had, and he had 7 touches. I mean, that must be the most by any Liverpool midfielder, because we don't play that way. We don't have midfielders running into the box. We rarely do that. We never did that, even when we won the league. Actually, that's not our game plan for our midfielders to bombard the opposition box. No, we are set up in a different way. In that game, Naby was always going. He had that weak header, which was a great chance, by the way. And I think Sadio was helped by Naby a lot. So, I was concerned. Yeah, I have to agree with you. Thinking that, he's a little bit tired, both physically and mentally, with the AFCON and everything like that. And we have to remember that he picked for 2 months. He was the best player in the world.
Yeah.
His form for 2 months was absolutely outstanding. There's bound to have,
a drop.
You're bound, a drop. You're bound to regress a little bit. And worried. Because I would be worried if I would see more, not trying that much, not trying to take on his opponents. He's always trying to do the same stuff. And I'm not worried because even if he's having a mediocre game or maybe a bad game, it's the center of gravity. And the center of gravity for the opponents as well. There's not a team in the world right now. They're gonna play Liverpool and they're gonna say, you know what? Mo Salah is not at his best form, so let's not focus on him.
Yep.
They will always focus on him. There is no team in the world that they're gonna go out in the second half and say, you know what? In the first half we focused too much on Mo, and he's not having the best game. So let's switch our defense and let's leave him alone because he's not going to do anything. That's never going to happen. So maybe, right now, maybe he doesn't have the confidence in the front of goal and all that stuff, but he remains the center of gravity for Liverpool. That means that he remains the center of gravity for the opposition as well. That means there's a lot of space for Mane, there's a lot of space for Jota, there's a lot of space for Diaz, there's a lot of link-up play with Trent. They keep doing that. So he might not didn't find the back of the net versus Benfica. Okay, but he was marvelous again. His link-up play with Naby and Trent in the right-hand side. That meant that Mane had space, Diaz had space.
Yeah.
It's all good for us. And,
you know, it reminds me of 13-14 season when everyone was so obsessed with Luis Suarez. And because of that, people like Sterling and Sturridge and Coutinho got so much space because people were so occupied with Luis Suarez.
And Luis Suarez had that kind of mentality as well. I mean, yeah, he had that amazing season. But we have to remember that before that, he had some spells in the Liverpool set that he was awful.
Yeah.
But he never stopped trying it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Don't give me the ball. Don't pass the ball to me. And if you're going to do, I'm going to pass it right back to you because I'm not feeling it today. And I'm not going to try to take on my opponent again because I have tried 5 or 6 times so far. And I have failed each and every one of them. So my morale is down and I'm not going to try another dribble on another shot on another. No, players like that with that mentality never stop. They always have the confidence that they're going to do it next time, even if they have failed the previous 10 or 11 or 20, I don't know how many times. And the minute I start worrying about Mo is the minute I'm going to see him stop trying it, do more things. Mo Salah, you have to try and be Mo Salah in every minute, in every play, in every game. And he keeps doing that. And I love that because he knows that things are not quite working out for him. I mean, versus Watford, it was like he tried to replicate that other goal he scored versus them this season. Like he needs every time he got into the box, it was almost like he tried to do it again. It didn't work out, and it was frustrating to watch. But eventually, you have to accept that he is more, and he's gonna try and do more things. And we have to be happy about that. The minute I start worrying, it's the minute I see more passing the ball back and say, you know what, go the other side. I don't want to attack right now. Try something different. No, he's going to try and do that every single time. And maybe he has a bad game and he walks out and obviously disappointed. It's okay. We go again. He goes again.
He does, absolutely, and I'm with you there. He's always trying, he's always wanting the ball, he's always committing, and that's all that you want from him. I am not concerned. I'm with you there. Right, so okay, Themis, so with regards to the first half, can we both agree that that was a rather enjoyable, relaxed, chilled out quarterfinal, first half of the first leg?
Well, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's one of the best Liverpool games I have ever seen. I have to say that again. It was a masterpiece. We did anything we wanted to do, in every aspect of the game. It was total domination.
Could not agree more, Themis. Could not agree more. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Right then. So, shall we talk about the second half?
Yeah. Well, the home side. I mean,
sorry.
yes. Yes,
no,
tell me. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because as much as I loved the first half, my word, the second half gave me squeaky bum time. I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of an error and Nunez scored, and I think it was only fitting that he would because he was. I thought I thought the player Everton had a pretty decent game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, so a lot of the ball, a bit, you know, obviously not no end product, but you know, had a lot of the ball. So I mean, yeah, that happened, and you could see the frustration on Konate's face. You know, like he just threw himself in a big heap, like he's absolutely disgusted with himself. And like you said, these things happen. But after that, I felt like Benfica got like a lot of like confidence.
Well, they're bound to have a spell in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Have something to show for their fans, for themselves, actually. I mean, they are Benfica, they're Portuguese giants. They have won the European Cup. They're playing in front of the fans. And you have to remember that they did that versus Ajax as well. They were behind and somehow they managed to snatch a draw and then go away and knock out Ajax. So you have to guess that they thought they could do it again. And that error from Konate, that cool finish from Nunez, gave them the confidence and the belief, you know what? We're going to do it again. We're going to come back from 2 goals down and we can snatch a draw, maybe win it. Nobody knows. Who knows? Because it's football. Anything can happen. Maybe it's our night. And yeah, they have a 15, 20 minute spell of, better team. But they stopped dominating every aspect of the game like we did in the first 45 minutes. And I give them credit for that. But yeah, they have not much to show for it. I mean, some good half chances, some long shots and stuff like that. As you said, Everton was helping Nunez and he was carrying the ball and trying to make stuff happen for them. But I wasn't that worried. I have to be honest with you. I wasn't that worried because I thought to myself, and I always think that, playing, that it's very hard for the opponent to have the stamina and the intensity for the last 20 or 30 minutes of the game. So I'm always thinking that after 1 hour of play, Liverpool are going to be back dominating again because we are so much better than that aspect of the game. And I've always thought, like we did in Milan versus Inter, that Jurgen is going to look at his bench and bring new faces and new legs into the game. And I was thinking, yeah, enjoy your time. Not going to last for that long because Liverpool are going to take control of the game again. I have to be honest with you. I'm usually very anxious watching Liverpool play and very, nervous and stuff like that. But I don't know. In that game, when Benfica managed to get out of that spot that we had them in the first half, even when they did that, I was relaxed and say, yeah, you know what, enjoy your spell because it's not going to last. It's not going to last. And and I was thinking during the game, yeah, I have to be honest with that. I said, yeah, we have thrown away 2 goal advantages so many times this season with Brighton and Chelsea and Tottenham. So frustrating to happen. Brentford, I think, away. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yes. And I said to myself, no, not this time. It's not going to happen again. It happened way too many times for that level of commitment and such an experienced group of players. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen again. We're going to win that game, and I'm going to watch it unfold, relaxed and confident about the outcome.
Mm. Yeah, I think there were just a few just moments that kind of freaked me out. I mean, it was like, the Alisson, that ball could have gone anywhere, when it kind of hits his leg, and it, so fortunate. I mean, we saw world-class Alisson saving that game again, against them. I think it was Everton. There was a lot going on. And I felt like when they got that goal.
My wife almost had a heart attack on that one.
I can imagine. So, it was little things like that. And I think what kind of shocked me was the way we were just completely in control of the tempo, of everything in the first half. And then within 48 minutes, I think it was about 48 minutes when we concede. And then, we just had a little bit of we had to kind of adapt back to their kind of pressure, and I thought we did well. And you speak about Jurgen Klopp's subs, and you know what? It had to be a triple sub situation for Jurgen Klopp on 60 minutes. So we saw Hendo coming on for Thiago, Jota for Salah, Firmino for Mane. I mean, that is just like, wow. The fact that you change things up like that and make those subs, and you could take off the likes of Mane and Salah and bring on Bobby and fresh legs and fresh ideas. But as a whole, I mean, Thiago came off there, but as a whole, I thought that midfield before Hendo, in my opinion, did perform really well. I loved that combination.
Yeah. Well, we're not used to that. We're still trying to get used to the fact that we have a proper squad right now.
Yes.
Yeah, because we were watching the game, and another triple sub was made. I was talking with my wife, and I said, "My God, we won the Champions League, and we won the league. And whenever we had to bring somebody in, we either never brought anybody in, and to let Mo, for example, play the whole game because we didn't have a player to bring in, right?
Yeah.
So it's not easy for Jurgen Klopp to say, yeah, Sadio and Mo, you're out, because we had to bring Origi and Shaqiri and stuff like that. And I said, it's amazing that we won the league and the Champions League with that squad. We didn't have an actual depth, especially in the attack. And we knocked out Barcelona with Divock and Shaqiri starting. I mean, anyway.
Unreal.
Unreal. Yeah, as you said, unreal. And I was pretty sure that about the 60th minute that we're going to have a couple of subs for sure, because you have to manage the game. Changes are needed. You have to manage the fatigue players. You have to always think that Sadio and Mo are still, recovering from AFCON, and you have to manage the fact that we're playing City in 2 days' time, 3 days' time. And with all that in mind, we're going to see some changes from Jurgen. You have to give Jordan some minutes, and you have to keep Thiago fresh. You cannot play the whole 90 minutes and play versus City again. You have Matip, who is rested. So it's an obvious choice. For me, it was an obvious choice to keep Diaz the whole game. Obvious because he didn't feature versus Watford, and he might not start the game versus City. So you have to balance everything, and to give Bobby and Jota some minutes, rest Mo and Sadio, Thiago fresh, and trying to get back the control of the game as well, with Jordan coming into midfield. So I think we managed to do pretty much everything.
I thought Hendo did really well when he came on as well. Actually, I think all three subs actually had some kind of purpose and had some kind of impact. I felt like, they came on just at the right time. Not saying that there was anything wrong with the attack before, the midfield before, but I felt like it was the right time for Jurgen Klopp to make changes, to add some fresh legs, fresh ideas. And I felt like we kind of, and in that little phase as well, I felt like we were probably, we were trying to attack their goal again. It was almost like we'd gone back to our usual mode of, no, we're going to keep going. I mean, don't get me wrong, in that second half, Liverpool were not their best, but they were professional.
Yeah. Yeah, and we kept attacking the right-hand side with Jordan that time, without Mo this time. And Jota coming in as a poacher in the box. We even got Fabinho playing there. I mean, for a couple of plays, he was our most advanced midfielder, which was so funny to see because he always, stays at the back, protecting the back four. And we got control of the game. And for me, the best part is that we managed to do everything we wanted. To rest some players, to give some other players some minutes in order to keep them fresh. And it was the perfect scenario, the way it evolved in the second half. And as you said, we managed to attack again and take the game to them.
Absolutely. And, you spoke about Naby Keita then being, very, very involved in the attack. And, again, Naby Keita, just a unique footballer, takes, the ball from the middle of the park, goes on the run, takes a deflection, a fortunate deflection, but lands to Diaz. And you know what? The perfect man for the perfect moment. I mean, that goal came, it basically put in my opinion, and I don't want to sound cocky, but put the tie to bed. It was like, yep, done and dusted. I think it's around about 87 minutes. I wish it came like 20 minutes sooner, but I'll take it all the same.
It was, the feeling scoring at the end. That's the sign of dominance. Because, in a tie like that, when the away team 2-0 at halftime, you have to manage to imagine there's going to be some kind of reaction from the home team, maybe manage a comeback and stuff like that. The fact that we scored the goal while they needed that goal, about the gap of the teams. I mean, at some point they were whistling, the fans were whistling the fact that we played some easy passes from the back. Virgil passing to Konate, then back to Virgil, then back to Trent, then back to Robo, stuff like that, around the 70th minute. And I said, what are you whistling about? Losing. We're winning. We don't have to attack. You have to attack because you're losing in your home ground. Why are you whistling? You're whistling your team? You want your team to attack? Yeah. Try and see how that goes. Is when they tried maybe get a set piece goal and stuff like that, because you never know in football. Maybe there is another mistake like Konate did. You never know. And they tried, and Naby won the battle in midfield and carried the ball. And I was shouting at the television and at Naby at that point, because I said, great game, Naby, like in Greek, of course, not in English. And he made that through ball with that deflection, of course, and that was the icing on the cake. It was perfect. Yeah, it was perfect way to end the game. And I don't know if it set the tie in bed, because I never say that stuff out loud.
Okay. And it's a good practice. Maybe I need to be a bit humble as well. But one thing I did love as well, we talked about, great things from that game. I love the fact that Naby Keita not only had a great game, I thought another thing that I have to give credit to is the fact that Jurgen Klopp got a full 90 out of him.
Yeah, he was confident enough to let him play the whole game.
And he didn't drop off, in my opinion. He didn't drop off in anything.
No. He played like a machine for the full 90 minutes. He had 8 ball recoveries. He made, as I mentioned, 7 touches in the opposition box. He played like a second striker. And he won 5 tackles. He made 3 take-ons. I mean, he was the complete midfielder in that aspect of the game. Maybe even more complete than Thiago, because Thiago is the absolute controller of the game, but he's not the midfielder that you're going to see popping in the opposition box. He's not going to do that. He's very rarely has a touch in the opposition box. And Naby had 7 in the same game that he did everything in midfield. He managed to have 7 touches in the opposition box. That's a complete game from a midfielder, as complete as it can get.
One last question on this game then, Themis. Is that the midfield that you kind of want to see more of?
Well, never see it. Now that I saw it, let's do that again. Let's see what happens, because it's a whole new level to a game.
Yeah.
Maybe not suited for every game. Knows much better than we do in what particular games are best suited for that midfield. But I thought I would never see it. Now that I saw it, I want to watch it again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Jurgen knows better which games
Yes.
suit that midfield the best. But I think the next opponent that is going to have to face that midfield, if any combination of attack, I feel sorry for them because it's not easy. It's not easy to play versus Liverpool anyway. But if they have attack-minded midfield, well, I don't know what you can do about that.
Oh, watch this space. Right. Okay, we've kind of talked about Liverpool Benfica there. And you know what, Themis, we've got to go to Man City, Atletico Madrid now. Obviously, it finished 1-0 to City. You know, the first thing that came to my head, and naturally it would do, how good they've still got to keep their focus on the Champions League.
Yes, of course.
And that was like literally the first thought that came into my head. I mean, you know, it's important that they are very much engaged in everything. You don't want them running away with one thing or another, you know. And I love the fact that, you know, it was very, very close. Okay, so City, Atletico Madrid. Obviously, we didn't watch it because at the same time as Liverpool were playing. Yeah. So we caught up with the highlights. I have to say, from all the games that I watched, obviously with all the games that were being played, I thought this was probably the most boring. In a sense that it felt like a bit of a training exercise. It was like a defense versus an attack. Just two banks of four by Atletico Madrid. So disciplined, didn't move out of spot. I think João Felix was their only outwards kind of creativity in terms of he was allowed to maybe run off if he wanted to. But in the first half, certainly, Themis, I thought it was so defensive. And in the second half, I felt like they got a bit better. They had to come out a little. Yeah. You know, they probably were trying to hit them on the counter, but I mean, I want to get your thoughts on this because I'm just talking a lot of like things that just came to my head. Like that was it. I have to give credit to City though. I mean, for most parts they were trying to be patient, but then I kind of saw them kind of look for cheap penalties.
Well, that game is a combination of two things. It's a combination of, you know, Simeone's mindset. You know, I'm the guy that doesn't care what people think. Yeah. And I'm going to do whatever I think is best for my team. So we have a second leg coming up in Madrid. So I'm going to set up in the most defensive way possible. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. The other thing is I have to give credit to City. They are able to do to their opponents because, Simeone is very defensive-minded, but it's City that forces you to become even more defensive as the game goes on. Because they started the game playing 5-3-2, and by the middle, after the first 20-25 minutes, they were forced to play with five banks, five players. And eventually, what City managed to do is take all the attacking threat out of Atletico because Felix, Griezmann, they had to track back and to track back and to track back. And whenever they won the ball, they looked up, they were miles away.
Yep, no point. Yep.
Goal, yeah. And talking about defensive masterclass and all that stuff, and if the game ended in a 0-0 draw, people will talk about a defensive masterclass by Simeone, right? Well, there's that. And they had them shot the whole game. They finished the game without shooting the ball for 90 minutes. They haven't had a single attempt on goal, not on target, any attempt. So we have to ask ourselves here, defensive masterclass. What Atletico tried to do, is behind the ball, or what City managed to do. Keeping the ball, attacking, trying for 90 minutes to find the slightest gap in order to attack. Same time, never allowing your opponent chance. We're not talking about chances here. We're talking about they didn't have a single shot. So it's a combination of things. It's what Atletico set out to do, but it's also what City managed to force them. Defensive-minded. That know what? Eventually, as you said, at some point, Atletico tried to be more attack-minded, bring some fresh legs in the game, and maybe ride their luck and try to have some chances. That's where they lost the game. They thought that, you know what, we are defending brilliantly. It's 0-0. Had a big chance so far, so maybe let's try and win it. Let's maybe try to be more offensive-minded. That's the moment they lost the game, because City brought Foden in, and he was brilliant in setting up Kevin De Bruyne. We won it for them. That's total control by City. Because, when you're watching the game and you're thinking one team is attacking and the other one is defending. Yeah, the team that they are attacking, they are also defending in the most amazing way, because they're not letting them having a single shot throughout the game. And I have to agree with you, online, for the away leg. I fancy City to go through, to be honest with you, and set up a rematch with Real Madrid, who were knocked out by them 2 seasons ago with 2 wins by City. City won the away leg and the home leg in that pandemic season. After that, they played single knockout games, as we all remember.
Yes.
I fancy them to go through, but I don't see Atletico going down without a body, because that's what they do, no matter what the scoreline is or no matter what their circumstances are.
For the integrity of the Champions League, which team would you prefer to go through?
I would like City to go through.
You know, the reason why I ask this is because I speak from a wounded Liverpool fan, and I know we did them dirty in the group stages, but they are that kind of team just frustrates me. I respect that is your craft and you should play it, and but I just think, and he's great at it, and why should he change his way? I get where he's coming from, but it's just a team that I have to think about. How would Liverpool fare against this team? And it's that kind of team that does frustrate Liverpool. They've gotten better at it now. I think Liverpool are definitely better at beating the low block and teams that park the bus. I think Liverpool too have become patient in, how they deal with that kind of threat and that kind of non-threat, should I say. But yeah, overall, I wasn't really impressed with that game. It's probably my least favourite from what I watched. I mean, but it's great though, the fact that they are still on the ropes. I also feel like they obviously they don't have a big goal cushion, so they will still pretty much know that they have a lot to be getting on with when they play them midweek. Chelsea, Real Madrid, my God. Talk to me about this one. I thought this was a really, really good game of football, actually, from the highlight. I watched the game, and I then caught up with the highlights as well, just to make sure I've not really missed anything. But I thought it was a really, really good game of football. I thought the first 10 minutes, Chelsea really tried. I felt like they were very attacking. They were very, very creative. I thought Kante was doing really well in the first 10 minutes. Kai Havertz, to me, looked really, really bright. Talk to me about this game, because oh my God, they did get sucker punch, and it looked fairly even, and then within 2 minutes, Karim Benzema, two headers, 2 very different headers, but my word, what a player is he. And I thought Vinny Jr. did a lot of punishing to them as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was the way he set up his team, because there was a lot of talk in Madrid that he's gonna start Federico Valverde in the midfield because he thought that he needs his running and his defensive aspect of the game. And he actually did start him, but he kept the other 3 too. So he had 4 midfielders actually, with Valverde, Casemiro, Modric, and Kroos. So his maybe only attacking outlet was Vinicius carrying the ball, and of course the brilliance of Karim Benzema. And I thought Tuchel got it wrong, because in a game that Madrid played with 4 midfielders, he decided to leave Kovacic out again and start with Jorginho and Kante as a double pivot in midfield. And that is exactly the gap that Benzema exploited in his first goal. Don't get me wrong, there was amazing headers.
He played a really nice one too with Vinny Jr., didn't he? And he just started, yep.
Yeah, it's about the brilliance of the player, of course. But I think Chelsea, Tuchel got it wrong versus Real Madrid. And, there's a saying that if you're going to be the king of the jungle, you have to kill the lion. I don't know if you have heard about that.
Yes,
Well, if jungle, then Real Madrid is the lion. And, you have to kill them early because they are the only team in Europe that they do not have to have a great season in order for them to advance to the semi-final or the final or to win it all. We know that firsthand because that's what they did in Kiev. They didn't have the best season. They weren't the best team in the world, but somehow managed to knock out everybody and win 3 in a row because it's their competition and you have to kill them early. And PSG had the chance to do so. They blew it. And now Chelsea had the chance to do it. They blew it. And now I think we're bound to see City playing Real Madrid again. Yeah, possibly. I still think that City are the favorites because they can control the game in a way that no other team right now, bar Liverpool, can do. But anyway, it's a great European night for Real Madrid, a great European night for Karim Benzema coming out of the shadow. Yeah, the shadow of Cristiano Ronaldo. When Cristiano Ronaldo did that, the knockout stages of the Champions League, Madrid fans and Ronaldo fans used to say only him can do it. Well, Karim Benzema can do it as well. And we should have recognized that a long time ago. Give all the credit and all the spotlight to Cristiano Ronaldo because he's a great footballer. But he had misfortune of going to Real Madrid the same summer that they bought Cristiano Ronaldo. So he was always in his shadow. And people forget that they played up front. The most successful seasons of Real Madrid, they played as a unit. Benzema alongside Ronaldo, Ronaldo alongside Benzema. The difference is that Benzema can do it alone. Doesn't need another striker next to him. He can lead the line by himself. Whereas when you have Ronaldo, you have to play with 2 up front. Always. Otherwise, it's not working. Ask any Man United fan. They should know by now.
I think the thing that really impressed me about this Real Madrid performance, away from home was, I think the belief that they may have got from the PSG game, what they did in the second leg, because their first leg, you saw them, they were so defensive. It was so
yes, of course.
We were taking the mick at them. And this is like the polar opposite of what they did this time around. They came out swinging. I felt like it was a really good game of football. I thought it was very open. It was end to end. For me, it was a decent game of football. And I think you've just said it there, right? You seem to think that this might be a step too far now for Chelsea now.
Yeah. Anything can happen, especially with the away goal rule scrapped out. Anything can happen. But that confidence, you said, is what can happen in the knockout stages. You go out in the game versus PSG, and PSG are the favorites, and you're the underdog, and all of a sudden you find yourself coming back from the dead and get a huge win and Benzema and all that stuff, and then you got the belief, and then you got the confidence, and then you are Real Madrid all of a sudden. And that's what I am saying is you have to kill them early. You have to kill them when you have the chance, because when they come back, they are too big for you.
What I found really interesting was, of course, it finished 2-1 and Chelsea were up for it and their fans were up for it. So we break for half time. They literally come out and Mendy has an absolute brain fart at the moment. Rudiger doesn't clear it, and there's Benzema. Thank you very much. Like they literally, as an expression, shot themselves in the foot within a minute of coming out.
Yeah, it ruined the game actually, because I thought for the neutrals everybody was thinking, great, Chelsea managed to get one back. We're going to see a very entertaining second half. And it started the way you said, with a disaster class by Menti and Rudiger. And after that, I think Benzema's third goal was the last shot game, because, he said, we had enough. We scored 3 already. So let's now protect our lead and not try anything else. And besides that, there was those 2 headers from Lukaku, and that shot by
Azpilicueta. Oh gosh, yes.
But overall, it was total control of the game, because error from Mendy took the life out of Stamford Bridge and the fans and the players. That any sense of belief they had after Kai Havertz scoring, it was gone. It was like they were watching a game that they knew there was no way of them getting back into it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Next game then. Okay, I think the shock. Villarreal versus Bayern Munich. I mean, this one, again, I'm going to just say something. I have to give so much credit to Villarreal. They score within 7 minutes. Danjuma scores, right?
Yeah.
7 minutes. And I've had flashbacks to the Salzburg game. Again, they took the early lead against Bayern Munich. And what they did was they defended, got sucked deep, and of course got punished, and then got really punished for the return leg. I'm sat watching this game, and I'm watching this team, and they are so threatening on the counter. They are so quick. They have got so many good players that actually can cause so much devastation. And my takeaway from this game was, and I'm going to let you talk about this, I was absolutely disappointed that it only finished 1-0, because Villarreal could have scored a fair few more here.
Yeah. You're absolutely spot on with the comparison with the previous knockout stage, what Bayern Munich did in the game, conceding early and then attacking, and then absolutely winning the game versus a much inferior team. No, that was a different scenario, as you said, and it was a chance for Villarreal to maybe even win it by 2 goals, something like that, because they never stopped attacking and threatening with Moreno and Danjuma, the 2 players playing up front in the 4-4-2, with Lo Celso coming in from the right side. And I was disappointed with Bayern Munich overall, because I thought they had a bad game in both aspects of the game, both defensively and in their attack. I mean, the game finished, and you look at the stats, and they say, Bayern Munich had 22 shots on goal. Yeah, but 13 of them were outside the box. Only 9 shots were inside the box. And we have talked earlier in some other podcasts about the fact that the other team, they get the most players inside the opposition's box. They are the top team in Europe right now.
I thought Villarreal set up quite well as well. They had 2 banks of 4, right? And there's not much space between their midfield and defence for Bayern Munich to kind of penetrate. I thought Coleman was probably their maybe their outwards kind of creative play in terms of from the flanks, but there wasn't much going on from the middle of the park, and they were resorted to kind of shooting from out the box. I did notice that as well, so you're spot on with that. Yeah,
and the fact that Bayern Munich and Nagelsmann set them up with only 2 midfielders, you have to think about, we watched the first leg of those quarterfinals. Only 2 teams set out to play with 2 midfielders. Chelsea, and they lost the game. But you have to think that they play with 2 midfielders, only Kante and Jorginho, but they play with a back 3, right?
Yeah.
Back 5 when they're defending. Bayern Munich were the only team that played with a back 4 and only 2 midfielders, Kimmich and Musiala, the youngster. And essentially they played with a 4-2-4, because you got Coman and Gnabry on the flanks and Lewandowski with Miller. Well, that's not Champions League football. That's not Champions League setup. You can do that in the Bundesliga. Maybe you can even play with 1 midfielder, because you are by far the better team. And even when the opponent scores, you can still outscore them with all that amazing talent that you have and all that attacking play. if you set up in the Champions League like that, you're bound to get punished. That's not a setup for the knockout stage of the Champions League. That's not a setup for a quarterfinal. And they were punished for it. I still think that they have a very hard task ahead of them because, playing away versus Bayern Munich is not for everybody.
Yes.
And Allianz Arena is a very, very hard stadium to play. I have visited that stadium for the Champions League final when Chelsea won it on penalties. It's an amazing, amazing stadium. It's a modern one, but it feels like a proper football stadium as well. It's not like the Emirates or stuff like that. It's a proper football home.
It's got soul.
Yeah. It's an amazing mix of, the modern hospitality and all that stuff, but very tough crowd and very hostile atmosphere. And I still think that have the capacity to go through and face Liverpool in the semi-final. And but I thought that was another game that exposed the fact that Bayern Munich are not at their best form right now, and are not the team that we think they are when we see the results and we see the goals they're scoring, and we're talking about how great a striker Lewandowski is, and Müller finding his form again in the past couple of seasons, and Gnabry and Coman and Davies, of course, the left back and all that stuff. Well, they have issues. They're not balanced enough. They're not balanced like City are, and they're not balanced like Liverpool. Maybe they can win games, but they cannot play the way we did in the lose, and they cannot play the way City played versus Atletico. If Bayern Munich were facing Atletico Madrid, I don't know, maybe they would win again. I'm not saying that they would lose the game, but there is no way Atletico would finish the game without a single shot. That's what City did to Atletico. Bayern Munich right now do not have the capacity to do that to an opponent, to take the ball, to attack, and at the same time have the defensive organization to limit their opponent. What Liverpool did in the lose, by an individual mistake, nothing wrong with our defensive setup, right? And what City did to Atletico, right now Bayern Munich cannot do that to an opponent. That's what I'm seeing so far. I'm not saying that they're bound to go out because it's Champions League and anything can happen. There are small details and stuff like that. Inside of the post in, outside of the post out. But right now, they are below the level City and Liverpool. That's my take.
No, but I think that's fair, and I think you're right. I think once it does go to the Allianz, I think it might be too much, which is why I'm absolutely devastated that Villarreal didn't get a few more goals there, because they definitely deserved them. I thought they were definitely the better team overall, in my opinion. Right, Themis, I think we've come to the end of this podcast. I mean, is there any takeaways that you want to kind of share on these fixtures? Anything you want to get off your chest before we close it off?
No.
No, we're good.
Let's hope for a return leg at Anfield. Inter Milan. I literally don't care if we win again and if we go through with 2 wins. I don't care as much as we go through the semi-final again. That's 3rd time in 5 seasons with Jurgen, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. And let's hope we go through and nothing like a huge upset. On come Wednesday, we play Wednesday, right? Yeah, we play Wednesday.
Yes.
Let's hope we go through, and I don't care about the results. I do not care who plays. Let's have an off night, risking qualification. Let's qualify for the semi-final because we deserve it, because we are the better team, because we are one of the best teams in Europe right now. So we have a chance to at least play a semi-final, and let's see what happens. And if we do it with an off night, like we do it with Inter Milan, I don't care because we deserve it. And we won the right to do so by winning 3-1 away from home. That's my take.
And also eliminating our chances of having an absolute stinker further down in the competition. I like the way Themis thinks.
Yes.
I'm finally on the same page as him. Right, guys. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Myself and Themis will be back next week, obviously. Once these games are fully concluded, and it should be fun. Hopefully, we get some good results, and we just want the Reds to make it to the semi-final. Right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Give us your feedback. Let us know your thoughts. Who do you think will progress? Predictions. If you want to go there, share, give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Enjoy your weekend. It's only a big one against Man City, but till next time, take care and up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.